Well, hello everyone. This is Rachel Carl, and welcome to the 7th session of the 6-week Reclaim Your Life, How to Get Off and Stay Off Illegal and Legal Drugs and Alcohol teleclass series. Tonight's class is going to be on water. So many options, so few healthy choices. And what we're going to be covering tonight in Module 7 is why is water so important, the different water options that there are and what's best, the qualities you should be looking for in the water you drink, why the pH of your water is so important, chemicals in your water and how they could be affecting your mental and physical health more than you know, and a lot more. Also, once again, I want to remind you that you'll have a chance to get your questions answered on this call. If you're listening live from your computer, you'll see the little box on the left-hand side of your screen that says Submit Your Question for the event here. So I encourage you to go ahead and submit your questions there right now. Or if you think of them during the call, go ahead and do that, and we will get to as many of them as we possibly can at the end of the call. If you're listening to the CDs at home, you can always email us your questions at any time at findpeace@shangri-la-biospa.com. We've got a lot to cover tonight, and most of you know who our guest of honor is. She's Genita M, a Human Rights Award winner, a nutritional biochemist and licensed healthcare practitioner, and the medical director of the Biosanctuary Addiction Recovery and Green Mental Health Care Center. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest, Genita M. Welcome, Genita.
Rachel, thank you. And I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. And as Rachel did say, we are covering water this evening. And, you would think of, all the topics that I have covered, the 6 topics that I've covered thus far in this teleclass, that water would be a simple one. Well, that's simply not the case. There are so many options, but as the title states, so few healthy choices. And we're going to go through each and every one of those because, people sell a lot of water equipment, so there's a lot of sales science out there, and there's a lot of hype, and there's a lot of bantering, and there's a lot of debate on what is good and what is bad. I'm going to give you the premise this evening of what you're looking for in water, and that is the original intention of water. But before I get ahead of myself here, I do want to introduce once again the series. This is the Green Body and Mind, Green Mental Health and Addiction Recovery, Staying Sane in a Toxic World series. This evening we are covering water, and like I have done ever since the second teleseminar, I am not going to go through all of my credentials and that. I am the medical director for the Biosanctuary in Malibu, California. I am the president of Green Body and Mind. I am a nutritional biochemist and a licensed healthcare practitioner, licensed by the American Board of Naturopathic Medicine. And I have had a practice now for 15 years helping people get off of legal and illegal drugs as well as alcohol. So going forward, this is green mental health care, and green mental health care is mental health care that is aligned with nature and supported by science. Remember, you want your health care to be supported by science, okay? And I will say this again, I will say this a lot in my lifetime because I have to get this point through to people. Psychiatry does not use an iota of science to substantiate their treatments, because if they did, there would be absolutely no science to support giving a person a very, very toxic drug and calling it medicine. So going forward, we're going to start on our topic for this evening. It is water, and of course, water equals minerals. All right, this is should be a substantial source of the minerals and electrolytes that your body needs. Okay, there's so many options, yet so few healthy choices. You're going to understand exactly what that means by the end of the seminar this evening. So the topics we will be covering are why is water so important, what water is supposed to provide, what much needed beneficial minerals from water, qualities of water, and then we'll go into distilled water, reverse osmosis, tap water, and of course then those items in tap water I will go into detail about chlorine, fluoride, chromium 6, the psych drugs and environmental contaminants are now being found in tap water. The qualities, again, that you're looking for in your water. Why put a negative ionic charge on water? Very important, ionizing your water. what is an antioxidant, because this is what water is supposed to provide. Water is supposed to be your number one source of antioxidants. And why the pH of your water is so important, why you should never drink bottled water, no good for you, no good for the planet, and of course the best water. Once I educate you on all of your options, I'm going to give you what is the best option, and of course my justification for that call, that recommendation I'm going to be providing you. So the importance of water. Okay, whenever we attempt to determine whether there is life as we know it on Mars or other planets, scientists first seek to establish whether or not water is present. Why? Because life on Earth totally depends on water. There's not much use for us except for, just exploration only, but there's not much use for us for, getting to move to or really develop or, have any kind of long staying time on any other planets if there's no water available. We are, on a good day, we're supposed to be about 77% water, actually. Why is water important? The majority of the cells in our body is made up of water. Water is the primary component of our saliva, sweat, and tears. It makes up a big portion of our blood and lymph systems. The lymph system is one of your key and primary detoxification systems next to the liver. It transports food and oxygen to different cells and carries waste out of our bodies. It controls our blood pressure by balancing our body's electrolytes. It helps the kidneys flush out toxic substances. It moistens our mouth, nasal passages, and eyes. It helps regulate our body temperature. It keeps us cool when the weather is hot, and it insulates our bodies from the cold weather. It serves as a shock absorber or as a cushion for our organs. It serves as a lubricant for our joints so we can move comfortably. A lot of people have inflammatory issues because they do not drink enough water, and they're really, really active and they don't drink enough water. Their joints don't have any fluidity, so they're going to get aggravated. They're going to ache. It provides us with many minerals that our body needs. And that's key. I mean, everything about water is key. Of course, you need, liquid to flush the body out, to hydrate the body. But it's minerals, the minerals that we need, because, if you're doing this series from beginning, to end in chronological order, you'll have already gotten a really, really, really good look at the minerals that are not present in food today that are supposed to be present. Our U.S. soil, farming soil, if you're eating conventional food, which by now I hope you are not. You're eating organic food, and you should be by now. But if you're eating conventional food, you are missing there's 49 of the 52 key minerals, and there's more, but 49 of the 52 key minerals are down to 10, 20, 30% of what they should be. That's not good. So now, if you're eating conventional food and drinking distilled water, you're not getting any minerals. So anyway, that's key here when we're taking a look at water and what it's for and what it should be used for. So the original idea, whenever I want to discuss a topic, a health topic, what I look at is what was the original idea. How did the human body develop over eons, 3 million years? Develop, what was it developing with? What was the nature of the planet? What was the important? What did water look like? What was the constitution of water 200 years ago before we started, modifying it and processing it like everything else, like we process food, Actually, distilled and reverse osmosis is like processing food. It processes all the good stuff out and just leaves you with this dead liquid. So anyway, I always look at, what was water like that people were drinking, when people were healthy and not suffering all these epidemic mental health issues and physical health issues. And so I go back to the original idea, and I try and find water that looks like it did. Its constitution is about the same as it was, as close as we can get on this unfortunately polluted planet, as it was like 2, 3, 4, 5, 600, 10,000 years ago. So the Journal of General Internal Medicine published a study on the mineral contents of different waters available in the U.S. The study concluded drinking water sources available to North Americans may contain high levels of calcium, magnesium, and potassium, and may provide clinically important portions of the recommended dietary intake of these minerals. So when they say high levels, this is a good thing. They're saying this is a good thing, that this is a good source. Natural mineral water, unpolluted mineral water is a really, really good source of minerals and electrolytes that your body needs. You know, you need electrolytes, and if you're drinking distilled dead water, you're not getting them. And water is where you're supposed to be getting your electrolytes from. Moving on here. So, our biochemical process, essentially, people, we are electrical to chemical to electrical beings. We need a natural balance of minerals and electrolytes to maintain this process with full structural and biochemical integrity. We are, I'll say it again, electrical to chemical to electrical beings. Our bodies, that's exactly what these protein machines do. They receive signals from the outside environment, create chemicals, neurotransmitters, and hormones inside our bodies so that our protein machines, our bodies and minds can function well in that environment. And then, of course, it turns it back into energy, into the energy that we use to both fuel the body and our activities and our mind and all of it. So, and we need water. We need the basic mineral and electrolyte content of water to maintain a good balanced charge, a good electrical balanced charge. So here we have what it was water supposed to provide. Okay, now this is going back to the original idea. All right, water is supposed to provide electrolytes, very important. They run every single process of the human body. Alkaline and pH correction, it's supposed to help alkalize our body, not acidify it, okay? In both reverse osmosis and distilled water is acid-based. It's more acid than alkaline, and that's not good. And I'll explain why later. It should provide antioxidant properties and, of course, minerals. Now, these you want to take a look at this, okay? These are the 4 things that you should be expecting from the water that you drink. These are the 4 things that water provided human bodies for eons, 3 million years. The human cell has been around for 3 million years, and then developed into organs, and then, of course, into full bodies. But this basic structure is how the body developed. So let's discuss minerals, some of the key minerals that water is supposed to provide. Water is supposed to provide calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and chloride. These are the major electrolytes that you're supposed to be getting from your water. Phosphorus, sulfur, iron, and zinc. These are the main ones. Now, of course, you get everything. If you're drinking natural mineral water, spring water, this stuff goes over goes over rocks, and it's excellent. It has the right balanced, nature-made combination of the minerals that you require. Okay, now the qualities of water. What are you looking for? You're looking for fluidity. Of course, you need to drink enough to get that right. First, you choose the water, the best water to drink, and then you simply make sure that you drink plenty of it. It cushions and it detoxifies. And, of course, as you, I'm sure, know by now, listening to this series, that it is key, it is very important to detoxify daily. You have to drink plenty of water to detoxify. It's fundamental to health today, because if you don't, it's too easy. We have so many chemicals coming in that it's just too easy for them to accumulate and start causing symptoms and then health issues. The qualities of water, of course, should provide minerals and electrolytes. So that right there throws out distilled and reverse osmosis, because those 2 systems take out the minerals and electrolytes. Should have antioxidants, and, of course, an alkaline pH. Your water should be 7.4 or above. The body should maintain it about 7.4, and you certainly want to drink water to help maintain that. So now, let's take a look at distilled water. Distilled water is a dead liquid, okay? Minerals and electrolytes put a charge on water. They are alive. Minerals are organisms. They are alive, okay? It's a dead liquid. There's no minerals. There's no electrolytes in it. Your body needs electrolytes. It needs electrolytes maintain the function of every single cell. There's sodium channels, there's calcium channels that function to get to help to get neurotransmitters in, help, every single process of the body. It needs, it's part of the pull of the energy of the cell. That's it. It removes beneficial minerals and electrolytes. That's what distilled water does. It's acidic. It will leach minerals from your body as the body works constantly in maintaining a healthy pH. Acidic water causes the body to leach minerals from the bones, teeth, and important biochemical repair and replication processes to maintain homeostasis. This is what it does. Now, there's a lot of debate out there. You'll see these people that are making distilled water, selling machines that will distill your water. They'll say, no, this is ridiculous. People drink distilled water, and we test, urine and output, and there's calcium. No, you know what's happened? Here's why the urine has a mineral content to it, a calcium mineral content to it. Because when your system is acidic, and it's going to be acidic if you're drinking acidic water, and especially water that does not provide any calcium, and it's also acidic, your body will actually pull calcium from the bones and teeth to try and alkalize the system. There's a 0.0. Everyone's body has a system, a built-in innate wisdom called homeostasis, what it should be. If it isn't, the body will constantly try and get it there. So it will pull calcium from the bones to try and help alkalize the system. So that's why you see it, but it's not because your water had it in there. It's because it was pulled from your bones, so that's why you'll see it in the urine. Does not remove all volatile organic compounds, water cleaning agents, etc. Anything, now think about it, okay? Anything such as chlorine and fluoride, anything that evaporates at or below the temperature that water evaporates is going to also evaporate. So now you're actually getting a more potent dose of fluoride and chlorine, all these other agents, and anything else out there that will evaporate at the same or lower temperature as water. So that's not good because all that stuff is, you're not getting the cleaning fluids out, okay? People who fast using distilled water are at high risk for health complications due to loss of electrolytes. This has been shown over and over. I've seen it happen myself in patients that, they tell me that they have, excuse me a second, I forgot to turn my phone off. Back to what I was saying is I have actually seen this happen. I have seen people nearly collapse and get a lot of cramping, just completely no energy, just completely watching their health completely slide away because they were trying to fast do something good for themselves using distilled water. So that's not good. So that shows you right there, you should be getting electrolytes from food you eat and your water. And water is 77%. So if you're not getting it in your water, then that reduces right there. And if you're fasting, you're not getting it anywhere else, right? So that shows you what an impact that, not having electrolytes would have, not having electrolytes in your water would have on your health. And so, a lot of people are actually suffering from health issues that are fundamentally loss of electrolyte, caused by loss of electrolytes, and they simply don't know it because nobody takes a look at this, okay? Distilled water in cancer. The process of distilling actually worsens the presence of, it intensifies it, it adds to the presence of extremely toxic contaminants in your water because anything that vaporizes at a lower temperature than water, such as volatile organic compounds, VOCs such as chloroform and trihalomethanes, very, very bad, will also be boiled and condensed. Reverse osmosis. So, here we went through distilled water, what distilled water does, and I'll recap that real quick. So distilled water essentially it pulls out all the minerals that you're supposed to have in the water, the electrolytes, makes it a completely dead liquid. And then, but it also, on top of that, it actually concentrates the cleaning fluids, the fluoride, the fluoride and the chlorine, and the trihalomethanes. It actually concentrates the bad stuff that's in there And so now you're getting a dead water, a processed dead water with added condensed cleaning agents. No good. So we know now, we know distilled water is no good. All right. Now reverse osmosis. Okay, the semi-permeable membrane allows the passage of water, but not ions. Okay, or larger molecules such as glucose, urea, and bacteria. Okay, that's okay. That part's good. But it's not allowing the minerals through either, the minerals or electrolytes. Another downside to reverse osmosis as a method of purifying drinking water is the removal of healthy, naturally occurring minerals in water. Okay, I just said that. It restructures the water, it wastes water, and takes calcium and iron out of the blood. Again, because, these reverse osmosis machines, I have tested every one of them out there that I know that are out there, and they come out acidic. They're pulling the alkaline minerals out of the water, and it makes it acidic. So therefore, you are going to, once again, create a situation where your body's going to pull calcium from the body to try and maintain homeostasis. And also, there's some iron that you're supposed to be getting out of your water. All the minerals, really. These are the bigger ones that we know of, that people, suffer various health conditions, because of a loss. Women are getting osteoporosis more and more today. Of course, drinking coffee is acidic, so that's going to, and also coffee inhibits the uptake of calcium. So, you're going to pull calcium from your bones. People have acidic systems today. That's why one of the keys in green mental health care is to get your litmus paper, get your pH paper, get on your diet, and do your program and correct your pH. Because it is key. An alkaline system is key to mental and physical health. There's no getting around it. If you're acidic, it's a hotbed. It's for pathogens, viruses, yeast, all of it, cancer, actually. So you want to correct your pH. Now, tap water. I actually, when I was building this PowerPoint, I actually became very, very upset and a little depressed, really, because to study tap water, you have to take a look at really how bad a shape that the earth is in. Because water, the earth is two-thirds water. Water is the common denominator of the earth. Everything that the earth is suffering is present in the water. It is so sad to list all of the things that are in water, because those things are what are also responsible for destroying and killing our planet. Tap water contains all of the harmful pollutants available on our suffering planet. Contains added pathogen-killing agents such as chlorine, in addition to fluoride and industrial pollutants such as Chromium 6. I don't know how many of you saw that Aaron Brockovich movie years ago, but Chromium 6 was the culprit. It was Chromium 6 that was responsible for all the cancers in that area that PG&E was sued for, and they won. The contamination of water is directly related to the degree of contamination of our environment. Rainwater flushes airborne pollution from the skies and then washes over the land before running into the rivers, aquifers, and lakes that supply our drinking water. Any and all chemicals generated by human activity can and will find their way into our water supplies. That is sad. And that also applies to bottled water, people. Yes, you go outside of the city in where the main deluge is occurring, you're going to have lesser toxic water, but it's still going to be toxic because, unfortunately, the entire planet, water is a common denominator. The entire planet is suffering this, okay? Chlorine. Dr. Patrick Flanagan named it. This guy is just out of this world brilliant. Dr. Patrick Flanagan named it age 17 as one of the top 10 scientists in America by Life magazine, recently advised in his book Elixir of the Ageless that drinking tap water is a slow form of suicide. Today's tap water is yesterday's toilet water, too thin to plow and too thick to drink. Chemicals such as chlorine and fluorides used to treat water are positive charged cationic electrolytes that are potentially destructive to the colloidal balance when ingested in the human system. As one result, people die, inch by inch, not really knowing what is wrong. And this is one from one of the top 10 scientists. At 17, this guy was just mind-boggling, brilliant. I'm back on the topic of chlorine. Dr. William Campbell Douglas, MD, head of Georgia's oldest 5-generation practicing medical doctor clinic, began warning his patients against drinking chlorinated tap water during the early 1970s. Chlorine is a very strong oxidizing agent like bleach, and its effect on the blood vessels is one of destruction. It kills our cells. Okay, this is an oxidant. Okay, it kills the cells, and that's oxidative stress. We don't need any more oxidative stress in our bodies. Remember, the key to health is reducing oxidative stress everywhere you possibly can. Reducing oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the fundamental cause of all disease. All of it. Physical and mental. You can't separate them. Remember that. So I'd like everyone to go to the website, the link here, to read more on chlorine. Really, really good link if you want to get more in depth about the dangers of chlorine. Chlorine's connection to cancer. Most surface and well water sources are rich with natural organic matter, NOM. Unfortunately, growing research has demonstrated that NOM in water, when combined with chlorine, leads to the formation of potentially harmful disinfection byproducts, such as trihalomethanes. Now, there's that word again. These are really, really potent carcinogens, okay? They're potential cancer-causing substances. Trihalomethanes, for example, are cancer group B carcinogens, meaning they've been shown to cause cancer in laboratory animals. They've also been linked to reproductive problems in both animals and human studies suggest that lifetime consumption of chlorine-treated water can more than double the risk of bladder and rectal cancers in certain individuals. It's bad stuff, people. You don't want to swim in it. You don't want to bathe in it. I will be suggesting some products so that you can get it out of your shower water. You want to stay as far away from, people, you look on the back of a chlorine box or bottle, and it says right there how bad it is for you, so I have no idea why people drink chlorinated water, tap water. I don't understand why they bathe in it. Remember, I told you in an earlier seminar that transdermal exposure to any toxic agent can be a more potent exposure than even eating it, okay? Because it goes directly into the bloodstream. It bypasses the liver for a long time before, it goes right into the bloodstream. You're soaking the stuff up through your skin, it's going right into the bloodstream, and it goes throughout the body, crosses the blood-brain barrier, goes throughout the body, and causes all that oxidative stress, free radical damage on the organs before the liver has an opportunity to jump in there and help detoxify you. So, it's no good. Do not drink water with chlorine. And guess what? What has chlorine in it? Distilled water has chlorine in it. Okay. And there are actually, you can get water testing kits from your local pool supply store. Use those kits for your tap water. So let's see where your tap water is. I'm also going to be giving you some links here in a little bit, so you can actually type in your zip code to link that the EWG, the Environmental Workers Group, put up on their website, so that you can actually type in your zip code and get the reports direct from your water supplier, the municipal district. Fluoride fraud. Okay, fluoride is one of the worst things that has ever been approved. I would put fluoride and aspartame right up next to each other. Fluoride this is fluoride fraud. Okay, Albert Schatz, PhD, spoke on fluoride in your water. Fluoridation, it is the greatest fraud that has ever been perpetrated, and it has been perpetrated on more people than any other fraud has. Professor Albert Schatz, PhD in microbiology. This guy knows what he's talking about, okay? Discoverer of the streptomycin and Nobel Prize winner. This stuff is coming from Nobel Prize scientists, real scientists that aren't trying to sell you a product. These are people that know what's going on underneath the hood here. You know, we get to see things under the microscope. We get to see the effects of chlorine and on the human cell under a microscope. And, you know, there is no black and white. There is no gray area under a microscope. You can see with your own eyes. Okay, that stops all the chit-chat, all the debate, everything, when people can see the stuff with their own eyes. And this information is coming from people, a microbiologist. I mean, they know their stuff, okay? Dr. Charles Gordon Hyde, I am appalled at the prospect of using water as a vehicle for drugs. Fluoride is a corrosive poison that will produce serious effects on a long-range basis. Any attempt to use water this way is deplorable. Dr. Charles Gordon Hyde is the former president of the American Medical Association, and that's his opinion of fluoride. Okay, you see where I'm getting at here? This stuff is really, really bad for you. And do not underestimate. See, people, you know, they have this attitude that if you drink this or eat that and it doesn't kill you in 5 minutes, well, then it can't be bad for you. And that's just not true. It's just simply not true. People are dying, and people are symptomatic today mostly because of what they put in their mouth and the toxins in their environment. So you really have to take this serious and get all this stuff out of your food and out of your environment. It's bad enough that we have what's called the involuntary toxins, okay? Those are, you know, the air we breathe. You know, there's involuntary ones. You know, you're going to get in water. If you want to go swimming in a lake, you know, there's you know, I mean, I guess that would be voluntary too, but you don't want to, you know, live in a bubble either. So you're going to want to swim in a lake or swim in the ocean here and there. So there's these involuntary ones, okay? So, but what you want to do to live a good, healthy, quality life is to get rid of all the voluntary toxins, okay? They're just not worth it. It simply is not worth shortening your time on Earth for any food addiction or any of the junk that has, you know, these toxic products in them. It's just not worth it. It takes away from quality of life, and then you die early. What is worth that? Nothing is worth that. Okay, we're moving on here. More on fluoride. I really wanted to drive this home. I wanted to give some more information as well as some links, because I want everyone that's listening to the seminar to go to these links and listen from the experts. Listen from people that have been there. You really need to take it. If you're not convinced that, you know, bathing and drinking tap water, if there's fluoride in it, and most of the counties in the U.S. do put fluoride in their water, if you are in there, if you're not completely convinced, then please, absolutely, definitely do not, you know, continue on with tap water and fluoride and distilled water, which has, you know, fluoride in it, because it does evaporate at a lower temperature than water. So if you're not completely convinced, please go to these links and get it from the experts, okay? Fluoride has a very, very evil past to it as well, which I'll share here in a minute. So it calcifies the pineal gland, all right? That's one. The pineal gland is what produces melatonin. It's right there at the, you know, center of your brain between the eyes. It's considered, you know, in mystics as the third eye, but it has, you know, it's also considered to be the area of the brain that is most associated with worship, with prayer, with our communion with God. When we think about these loftier things and about religion and our relationship with God, this is an area of the brain that is activated, and so it calcifies the pineal gland. It causes cell membrane blockage because of calcification. So there's, you know, neurotransmitters and hormones aren't going to be able to talk back and forth, you know, as they should anyway, because of membrane blockage, malformation of collagen. Many people have conditions today where there's not sufficient collagen being made in their bodies. A lot of aches and pains, fibromyalgia, these kinds of things. Fluoride is a key one to suspect causing this. All right, it's associated with cancer, diabetes, hormonal imbalances, heart disease, arthritis, and osteoporosis. They've all been linked to chronic fluoride ingestion. brain damage, genetic DNA damage, thyroid disruption affecting the complete endocrine system and leading to obesity. Neurological, diminishes IQ and it causes an inability to focus. It causes lethargy and weariness. Alzheimer's disease has been associated to fluoride. Melatonin disruption, well, because of the calcification of the pineal gland, and that's the gland responsible for producing melatonin. Lowers immunity to cancer, accelerates aging, and sleep disorders. Fluoride is in psychiatric drugs now. In fact, a lot of them. Now, this is a link here that I'd like you to read if you're on any psychiatric drugs. It's very important that you know this because why would they put fluoride in psychiatric drugs? It's just not, it doesn't make sense except that, there are schools of thought out there amongst, some elitist type psychiatrists and such that people who develop, mental health issues or symptoms and this and that, they're lower on the food chain, that they're not as strong of a human, and there's some Aryan race people that want to create the best human race possible. So there is some talk out there that they're putting these very, very damaging things like mercury and fluoride in psych drugs to help get people off the books. Now, I'm not going to go into conspiratist thinking right now or theories, but I mean, whether or not by design or default, why they're putting it in there, the same effect it's still going to have the same effect. Okay, it's no good for you. It causes all these problems that you're reading here, and you're getting a really big dose if they're in your psych drugs. So here's this next one. Actual statements and testimonials from government workers regarding how they use sodium fluoride in water to make free and prisoner populations docile. Yes, fluoride has a long history. In fact, Nazi Germany used fluoride at the concentration camps. It has a long history of being used to make people docile and also infertile. Another one, a big one. And then there's some really good videos on this next link here that I'd like everyone to take a look at. And then the Shirley Wellness Cafe, there's just everything they put together on that website. There's everything you ever wanted to know about fluoride, the historic uses of it, what it does, how it damages the body, the diseases and conditions and symptoms it's associated with. It's all over the place. So you really want to protect yourself from this. So, of course, your intention of, getting the series and learning all this is to get off of psych or illegal drugs and alcohol. So I know you already agree with us there. But this is just more reason for you to get off of those psych drugs, because you're getting if it's in there, you're getting a really strong dose, and it's going to cause more very, very unhealthy conditions, and it's only going to get worse. It never gets better until you remove what's causing the problem. And Chromium 6. Testimony of Kenneth A. Cook, president of the Environmental Working Group, as you know, one of my favorite groups of scientists at EWG.org, before the United States Senate Committee on Environmental and Public Works. This is the link here. Please, read this testimony about Chromium 6. It's actually starting to show up more and more and more, and in our water supplies again, and it's all over the place. So you want to protect yourself from that. So, reverse osmosis, well, it may get some of it out, but definitely distilled is going to do it. This stuff is nasty, and you don't want to drink. You want your water to be filtered, but, not distilled and not with reverse osmosis. It's going to take all the minerals out. Chromium 6 is related to cancer and birth defects. That was exposed in detail in the movie Aaron Brockovich. And here's a link from the Environmental Workers Group. What's in your water? This is the tap water, and you can take a look yourself. And also this is the link that you can use to type in your zip code and see what's actually in your specific water, because every plant, municipal water plant is different, and so you want to see what's definitely in your water. Okay, so the contamination of water is directly related to the degree of contamination of our environment, and that is sad because our environment is extremely, extremely toxic. There's industrial waste, there's psychiatric and other medications showing up, there's over-the-counter drugs, there's agricultural waste, from these animal for food farms, and which is really bad. There's, you talk to anybody who lives in these areas about the quality of their water and air, and you won't, hear much about quality, quite the opposite. And of course pesticides, which is a huge, billions of, pounds are sprayed yearly in the United States. This is not good, okay? You gotta get this stuff out of your water. So back to the qualities you are looking for in water. So, to recap, distilled isn't the answer because it takes minerals out and it can condense and it doesn't filter out the fluorides, the chlorines, and the other cleaning agents. So that's no good. Reverse osmosis, it again removes the minerals, electrolytes, and takes all the good stuff out with the bad stuff. So that's not the answer, okay? And hang in there, I will be giving the answer. So back to the qualities, let's go back to what we expect, our water to provide us. What water provided us for hundreds of thousands of years before the last, few hundred years of industrial pollution and changing the entire planet. Electrolytes, an alkaline pH, you want about 7.4 or more, because people have a tendency to eat a little bit on the acidic side, so it doesn't hurt to drink water, up to 8.5, because it can actually help bring your pH up if you're eating a slightly acidic diet. But the only way to know what you're doing, of course, is you got the program materials with this teleseminar. There's instructions there how to test for your pH. You get your litmus, your pH paper from a health food store. Usually, a lot of pharmacies carry it. And start taking your pH per the instructions in your program materials, and then you can, of course, you change your diet. Once your new diet settles in, wait until your new diet settles in, and make sure you're eating a lot of alkaline greens and such. And then if you're still slightly acidic, then you can, you shouldn't be, but if you are, you can get some pH salts, and help correct your pH. And antioxidant properties, you want your water to have antioxidant properties, and as well as minerals. So, and I put this, by the way, an antioxidant, okay, water is supposed to be an antioxidant, but now because water has so many its own toxicants in it, and also, the planet's going toward acid, more acidic because of all the toxic chemicals that, we're unleashing onto this poor planet of ours. The antioxidant properties of water are being diminished more and more and more every year. So it is a good idea to put a negative ionic charge on your water because it makes water a very powerful antioxidant. And what a negative ionic charge is it goes through a system where the ionizer actually puts a negative ionic charge, which means that the water molecules have excess electrons in them. And that's what makes it an antioxidant. And I want to go into this a little more because I really want all the people that are listening to this teleseminar series to really understand oxidizing and antioxidants, why antioxidants are so good for you, and why you want your water to be the antioxidant that it was originally intended to be. So I'm going to, real quickly, I want to go through a series of slides to show you what an antioxidant is, because I do realize, I have learned that a lot of people use words and don't, understand them. They know how they're using them. Okay, they're bad or they're good, and they reuse them in sentences, not really understanding what they mean, like free radical or antioxidant. So this is really key here because, like I said, the fundamental cause of all disease is oxidative stress. So it's really important that you understand what oxidative stress is. So, first we want to know what an antioxidant is. Antioxidants donate electrons to unstable, positively charged molecules in the body, which are called free radicals, which cause oxidative stress, okay? A cell that is experiencing oxidative stress has an excess of positively charged ions in it, okay? And that's what makes it unstable. So what an antioxidant does, it's a molecule that has an excess of electrons. When it comes into the vicinity of this molecule, this free radical that's suffering oxidative stress, when it comes in the vicinity, it actually, to stabilize it, because, this is energy, people. We are energy. This is electricity. We are electricity. What happens is it will donate to balance, okay? Again, the body's always seeking homeostasis. To balance the body, it will donate one of its electrons to that unstable molecule that is expressing positive, okay, because it has one electron molecule missing. And here I'll show, I said that the underlying cause of all disease is oxidative stress. And so now, okay, I'll go into what oxidative stress is real quick. So an antioxidant is a molecule that has an excess of negative charge, ions with a negative charge. And when it comes in the presence of a free radical, it will donate to stabilize that molecule. It donates one of those extra electrons. Okay. So what is oxidative stress? Adverse effects occurring when the generation of reactive oxygen species (ROS) free radicals in a system exceeds the system's ability to neutralize and eliminate them. Excess ROS can damage a cell's lipids, protein, and DNA. And then I provide a link so you can study even more up on this if you're interested in doing that. So oxidative stress is adverse effects occurring when the generation of reactive oxygen species, ROS, free radicals, those are those molecules running around that lost an electron that are now unstable and not functioning very well and are basically going to be marked for death, okay? And the death of a cell means, if you get a lot of it, then it's a death of a group of cells, and then death of tissues, and then, organ malfunction, and then disease. So antioxidants are extremely important here. Just for a pictorial here, this is a stable atom, all right? It's got equally paired electrons in its orbit, which would match the protons in the nucleus, okay? This is an oxygen molecule that's lost one of its electrons. So now that molecule is unstable. Now, breaking it down just a little bit more, here's an antioxidant behavior. So here's an antioxidant comes in. Look at all those layers. It has a number of excess electrons. So it will donate to a free radical with an unpaired electron. It donates one of its electrons, and now that cell is going to be fine. That molecule is now stabilized and will function properly for you. And just a little bit more, just show you how in the intestinal cell here, the damage that free radicals can do. They can get, first they break through the phospholipid layer of the cell, and then they, can start damaging the protein, and also, these are byproducts of food and other chemicals. Free radicals are, and again, remember they are, the missing an electron, so a paired electron, so they're very, very unstable. And anyway, so this damage can be done by the free radicals, and even right down into the nucleus and to our DNA, that's when you start getting some really big problems. All right. So if you bring in a lot of antioxidants, like such as in the water that you drink. If you bring in a lot of, antioxidants that have these excess electrons, then you're donating, to all the free radicals going on in your system. You're donating electrons and stabilizing them and bringing them back up to health and functioning properly. So now, also I want to discuss why the pH of your water is so important. All right. A slightly alkaline system is desired at 7.4 because acidic environments are known to be the home of many illnesses such as cancer, candida, and inflammatory diseases. All physical conditions that cause mental symptoms, okay? Now, this is really important. Probably 8 out of 10 of the patients that I see have candida overgrowth. All of the patients that I see, if you're alcohol addicted, if you're smoking cigarettes, if you're taking psych drugs, you are acidic. You are acidic. These things are very, very toxic, and they cause acid, or an excess of acid in your system. You are acidic, okay? That's why, these pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and candida, yeast, fungus, molds, that's why it's an ideal environment for them to grow in. In fact, they can't survive in an alkaline system. That's why it's so important to maintain an alkaline system. That is your first best defense against not, these things that you're, coming in contact every day not becoming a problem, because, we come in contact every single day with bacteria, fungi, all this stuff. But is it going to have an opportunity to manifest and grow and accelerate in your system? No, not if you're alkaline, because it is not a friendly environment for these guys, okay? Not at all. So, that's one of the reasons why it's so important that your pH of water, the pH of your water is 7.4 or above, okay? And an acid environment causes more free radicals. Absolutely, more free radicals are developed in an acid system. Very friendly to the production of ROSs, and removes the pH of your water removes acids and toxins. Okay, so that's really good as well. Now, bottled water. Do you want to drink bottled water? Well, no. Okay. The polycarbonate and other plastic bottles distribute toxic plastic byproducts such as BPAs, bisphenol A, and phthalates into the water. So these are estrogen. They're endocrine disruptors, and they are no good for you. They cause a lot of mental health issues, especially if they're becoming accumulated in your system. And that all depends on how your detoxification pathways are working. And if you're not drinking the right water, they're not working well. That's for sure. So, these bottles are sitting in the sun, and, you drink you drink and the spit goes in, and then the bacteria grows in the bottle, and it's just a mess in there. But it's just, you don't want the plastic byproducts in your water, okay? And there's also other issues with bottled water. The unfortunate truth is that even spring well and stream water today is tainted with toxic pollutants. It's acidic. The waters on the planet and the streams and whatnot is becoming more and more and more acidic as time goes on, because the toxins cause it to lean in that direction. It never goes away, and it's far too taxing. In the plastic, the plastic doesn't go away. There's a lot of bottles that are like the plastic caps. They're not recyclable. A lot of people don't know that. I suggest that everyone listening get that movie Bag It, BAG. IT, really good documentary came out not too long ago, and you get a really good education about phthalates, bisphenol A, as well as what the true nature of recycling, what is recyclable, what is not, and why we got to stop using plastic bags, all this stuff. It's really good educational documentary on plastics and bisphenol A and the byproducts of plastics and the type of health issues that they're causing. And it's far too taxing on non-renewable resources such as oil for both production and transportation. In fact, there was a gentleman that was interviewed in this documentary, Baggett, and he demonstrated that nearly about a third, for every bottle of water that you drink, it takes about a third in oil. If you filled up a third of that bottle with oil, that's about how much oil it costs to make the bottle, and of course then transport the water, and then of course transport it in, and then transport it out, with the recycling. It's a mess. So, a big no on water. Okay, so bottled water is a no. It's too hard on the planet. It's too hard on our resources. Costs us way too much in oil. And so, we don't want to go down that road, all right? And it's no good for you. It may have minerals in there, but it's got everything else in there. See, bottled water it comes from a spring, so it's not filtered. But unfortunately, the sad truth is that springs, wells, and streams today are, collectively a part of, this plant. And remember, water is the common denominator. So everything that, all the toxins and chemicals that humans are using, from drugs, psych drugs, to aerosol spray, everything is, all the industrial pollutants, the agricultural pollutants, all that is going to show up even in spring water today. So that's not your best choice. Now, here is the best water, okay? Here's my recommendation. We've been, drum roll please, I know we've been waiting for this for an hour now, but the best water, of course, would be natural water from a spring, well, or river. But people, I would even today, because I keep saying, unfortunately, this poor planet is so polluted and it's so toxic now. I mean, it's dying as a result, and we're dying with it. The human race, that's why we're so symptomatic today. It's just, the denatured water, denatured food, all the chemical pollutants in the environment. It's really a sad mess. That's why you have to work as hard as you possibly can at eliminating all this stuff from your environment, because when you do that for yourself, by the way, you are immediately, by default, becoming an environmentalist for the planet and helping relieve the stress, the toxic stress on the planet. So it's a win-win for everybody, not just for the planet and for you, but for me and everybody else that lives, all the animals and people and everybody that lives on the planet. It's a win-win for everyone. You are immediately, overnight, when you do this, a superhero. When you green your own personal environment, your personal hygiene, your food, your processes, your home cleaning, when you green your environment, you automatically become a green environmentalist superhero, because you are reducing the stress, you're reducing the demand. You can help put these companies out of business that are destroying our planet, and you're saving your own health and quality of life. I mean, it's just a truly global, universal win-win for everybody. So the best water, as I say, would be natural water from a spring, well, or river, but I would still filter it, and I'm going to suggest a filter here real soon, because there are the good, bad, and the ugly out there in filters as well. Or, yes, tap water, but filter it, okay? It's actually less expensive. It's got the minerals in there. It's got electrolytes. It's got all that good stuff in there. And it's far less expensive than buying water. And it's, of course, it's much better for you than distilled or reverse osmosis, because, again, those are two dead liquids. You're not getting the electrolytes and the minerals that you need from those.
Okay, so my highest water filter recommendation that meets with all this criteria I've discussed, and the very important ability to filter out fluoride and non-potable water, meaning if your water supply were to be contaminated, or if there was a disaster, which there's plenty of today, unfortunately, that took out your plumbing, you could filter out cysts, bacteria, pathogens, and other critters that get into the water, is the Berkey system. The Berkey system is by far the most popular, of course, for good reason. They have a number of different systems, such as a shower head and the little sports bottle, which I use. I travel a lot, and I use that. That is in my backpack everywhere I go. And then, of course, the tanks. And the tanks, they look beautiful. They're stainless steel, but of course, it's functionality that we want to consider first over looks. But it just goes with a great recommendation that it is very aesthetically appealing in your kitchen. Now, as far as the radiation is concerned, which you should be very concerned about, Fukushima is still, this is November of 2013, and Fukushima is still spewing radiation contamination into the water, and there is no end in sight. In fact, many specialists believe that it's only going to get worse, much worse, before it gets better. So especially if you're in high altitudes or along the West Coast, Alaska, California, you're going to this is going to be a concern for you. So really anybody, everybody should be concerned about this just to be safe. But those in those areas, you have reason to be highly concerned. I am developing a way right now, and I'm going to be sending out that presentation to my readers on how to build an earthen system to pull out all the radiation before it's deposited into Berkey. You use a Berkey tank, another silver tank, on top of the standard one to make an earthen system and deposit and pour the water into that so it drips from that into the standard system. That is the best way across the board. So anyway, please, do yourself a favor, do your loved ones a favor, do your friends a favor. Get yourself a Berkey, clean your water, and establish that your water is good, because we are 77% water, and of course our water choice will have that much, if not more, play into our health.
If you're not satisfied with my endorsement, and you want further research for yourself, which I am a big fan of giving people all the options possible, and so they can make their own decisions based on their own wants and needs, etc. But I hope that they would be aligned with what I gave you today, because that is what water's supposed to be. So anyway, you can go to this link here, this website here, everything about water filters and processes. All right, so you can educate yourself. You can read more about distillation processes, about reverse osmosis. You can research more about filtration systems, over the counter, under the counter, whatever it is. But that's right there an excellent site for you to be to get some more research done, so that you know that you are making a decision based on not only my research, but some of your own. I'm a big fan of people getting involved and educating themselves about all this, so that they're very, very comfortable with their decision. They're not just doing something because their next door neighbor is doing it. So anyway, this is the end of Module 7, Waters and Minerals. Next week is going to be Food for Humans. This is going to be really good. I want everybody on the series to show up for this one, because I'm going to go through food. And I know, as being a healthcare practitioner for as many years as I have, that especially doing the outpatient, the inpatient is easy. When people are at the clinic, and my chef and team and kitchen are taking care of all the food preparation, and they're getting their massages and their acupuncture and their colonics, and everything is just taken care of for them. Hey, it's great, and the juicing and all that. But especially, we want them to know what they're doing when they get home, so we teach them at the clinic how to take care of themselves in the food department when they get home, and how to cook fabulous meals. Well, my outpatients, up until just about 2 weeks ago, we finally published Food for Humans 3 weeks ago. It's Food for Humans, and you should have received it with your program materials. Food for Humans is the Biosanctuary's, my Biosanctuary's actual book of recipes, all the dishes that we provide at the clinic. 85 of the dishes that we provide at the clinic, and the juices, and how to green your kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. This is a phenomenal help for people, especially in the outpatient program, because I'll tell you, the number one obstacle wasn't taking their supplements. People can take their supplements on time. They got a protocol. They take their supplements. They know what to do, when to do it. That's easy. Exercise, people know what that is. They pick their favorite, and they go start exercising. They know how to make appointments for their doctors to get their tests. They know how to, go to the gym and get a sauna or get some acupuncture, whatever else, I may prescribe. But you know what? The biggest obstacle, and by the way, which is probably what got most people in trouble from the beginning, is that diet. Most people have lost the art and science of how to prepare good food properly. Where it pops with flavor, how to use herbs, how to shop, what to shop for. And these dishes are not rocket science. They are wholesome, 51% or more raw, which is what I suggest that every meal should be. And they're just phenomenal dishes. But we're going to go through everything about food next week. So it's really important, because I know that the biggest obstacle for people doing the outpatient program is the food selection, how to eat, how to prepare it, and so you're going to be getting a whole lot of information on how to really create that new, healthy, awesome relationship with great organic whole foods. So, and I will be going through some of the more, specific aspects of food, like which grains, the gluten-free grains, oils, et cetera, et cetera. Quinoa is not a grain, people. It's a seed, and it passes as as rice on the plate. You can do everything with quinoa as you can do with rice. So anyway, it's going to be a really fun and exciting one next week, or this Thursday, actually. So I want everybody to have your pens and papers ready and ready to join us for this one, because, if you're doing the outpatient program, you need this one, okay? All right. So anyway, I think I'm going to hand this over to Rachel now.